What's up guys, Manny from Motomillion, and it's time for wheels and tires for a Panigale V2. These are OZ Racing Piega World Superbike Replica wheels. These are pretty rare, especially nowadays, because these were released as a limited edition, 150 set basis, and they're not the newest wheel that's out. This, I think, is right now 3 or 4 years old. I'm trying to see if there's any kind of, these are from 2021. So that tells you guys this wheel is 3 years old. They don't make them anymore. If you take a look at these wheels, it says number 137 or 150. They're really pretty. They're finished in the shadow chrome color that OZ Racing calls it. And I think it's going to be a good contrast to a Panigale V2. They're not the lightest wheel you could get for these bikes at all. Again, sometimes it's not just about ultimate performance. I think it's about improving the performance a little bit, but also adding the looks to the bike. But before further ado, before we mount tires on it, and I talk to you guys about the tires and the rear wheel, let's just weigh everything. I'm going to weigh the rear wheel and the front wheel, and then I have a set of stock Panigale V2 wheels that came off of Jerry Campisi's Panigale V2 Build Series bike. We're going to weigh those so we'll know the difference of weight between these ones and the stock wheels to see how much weight we're saving. We have our scales. It's on the floor because it's easier to do this on the floor with the wheels. This is the stock rear wheel. Just the rear wheel itself is 10.3 pounds. We're going to add the front wheel carefully on top of it. So in total, it's right under 18.98 pounds. This is our rear wheel. It's a little bit different than what's supposed to be on this bike. I'm going to tell you guys what it is. Some of you guys probably already know. The rear wheel is 8.36 pounds. And with the front one in place, it's right around 15.8 pounds. So we're saving right around 3 pounds, which is respectable. It's, again, I mentioned, it's not the lightest wheel that's out and available for these bikes, but also there is an effect of the rear wheel that's probably causing it to be heavier because it's not a fair comparison. And let's get to that point that I mentioned. What's different about this rear wheel? This is a 6-inch rear wheel. So this is a Panigale V4 spec wheel. And the Panigale V2 runs a 5.5 or a 5-inch rear wheel. I'll tell you right now, it's a 5.5. Because you're going to be running a 200 tire in the back of this bike, you're probably going to get a lot of comments from you guys saying, oh my God, you're going to ruin the handling. And my comment is that, oh my God, we're not going to ruin the handling, guys, because there's plenty of guys who run the 200 tire. It gives it obviously a different characteristic. I understand that the rear tire might be even heavier than a stock 190 tire that's on it. That's okay. These are street bikes. We're not winning trophies. You know, we're not taking home millions of dollars because we're 0.1 second faster. Obviously, we want to change the dynamic abilities of these bikes to be better. Still, with the lightweight characteristics of these wheels, it is still going to be better. Obviously, we're going to upgrade our brakes too. So it's kind of a win-win. And of course, when I go to Starbucks, this Ducati is going to look great there. Here's our wheels and tires mounted, and thanks to Motor Corsa Fort Lauderdale, they did take care of the wheels when they mounted for us. And now it's time for me to install the wheels onto the bike. I want to note something because we're doing something different. So we actually oversized the front rotors. We have the 330mm Panigale V4 rotors that are going to go onto this beautiful Panigale V2. You might ask, why are you doing that? Well, number one, it's better performance, right? So I have the rotors. Why not use it? They're the T-drives. And this bike has, I believe, 320mm rotors, so it's 10 mil bigger in diameter. It gives you better leverage in terms of when you brake, obviously, because it's the rotor is larger. So it gives you not more clamping force, but if you think of it in terms of momentum, you're holding it from a more outside diameter. That means that you're getting more force to stop the bike. But also, since the diameter is bigger, there's actually more rotor material, so the more metal, so that it actually helps with the heat capacity. Do you need it on the road? You probably don't. But since we're changing it, there's no real price difference between not oversizing it and oversizing it. We just decided to oversize the rotors. And this being the Superbike special edition wheels, we thought that it's cool to actually add a little bit of touch like this as well. I've never done this before, but I think it's going to work because these caliper spacers are on the top part of the caliper on the Panigale V2s. I think when you put them down, that gives you that 10 millimeter distance that you need. They're 5 millimeter, but it's the diameter. So if you take half, it's 5 millimeter difference. I'm pretty sure it's going to work. But let's talk more working. Let me get that wheel out. Let me get that ABS sensor off of it. Then I'm going to put these wheels on the bike because I think with all the dark colors and the silvers, this is going to look amazing on this motorcycle. This is all we needed from the stock wheel, the ABS ring. Now I'm going to be putting it on the Aussie Racing wheels we have. Torque down the new rotor bolts. We're going to be running some Pro-Tie titanium bolts to save some weight. Just a note though, these Aussie Racing wheels, they require different bolts. They're a little longer than the stock ones. We did have the Pro-Tie ones available for it, so we're just going to be using that. And then we'll put this front wheel on. Then I think the rear wheel is going to be a breeze compared to the front one. Now that our rotors are on and our ABS sensor ring is on, let's just put the wheel on the bike so that we could see if actually these rotors will work with these calipers with the spacers flipped around. Again, I'm hopeful it's going to work. Let's see. So the front wheel is on, everything fits. The calipers, as I mentioned with the caliper spacer inverted, works with the 330 millimeter Panigale V4 spec front rotors. I really like it, but now let's do the rear wheel and let's see how it looks in total. And I want to push the bike outside after it just to see how it looks under the daylight with these studio lights. It's sometimes deceiving, but I like what I see so far. Don't forget, there's going to be loads of other things coming for this bike along with our full Öhlins suspension. So eventually that front wheel will come off and we'll do a couple changes, including the front calipers. We're going to be running the Stylema calipers. But before I get carried away, let me get to the back of the bike and get that wheel off. And if you've never taken off a rear wheel nut off a Ducati when it's just fresh out of the factory, you're in for it. So for the rear wheel, we're using the TWM rear wheel tool, and it has this red insert. This is for the wheel side, and your axle is actually diameter smaller on the sprocket carrier nut side. So you don't need this, but for the wheel, we need this so that this doesn't move up and down. And just a note, don't ever use an impact on these. These are aluminum, and you're just gonna strip it. Also, always use an extension. If you don't have an extension, you're not gonna be able to get your teeth for your ratchet. In this case, your breaker bar, and then you're gonna be pretty angry saying that the tool broke, but you broke the tool. But let's get this wheel off. Let's see what that Aussie Racing wheel looks like on this bike. And don't forget, we're running a 200 rear tire and not 190. I'm awaiting your comments, guys, because I think we're gonna have a mixed bag of comments when it comes to running a 200 on a V2. I'm gonna do it. If you don't wanna do it, don't do it on your bike. Okay, the rear wheel's off. I thought the bike came with a 190, it came with a 180, and our rear wheel is a 255. It's gonna fit. I hope that the traction control settings will have the 255 on there. If not, we're gonna figure something out. But let's weigh the wheels and tires together just to see. I have our up map box there. The scale is zeroed. I just have it there so it gives it a little more height so that the wheel doesn't sit on the ground with the tire on it. And if you guys missed the last episode, we did install a aero slip-on, and that's why we have that up map box. But let's do this. Let's put this here. This is weighing in at 11 pounds, 11.39, 38. The gravity is going down. 11.38 pounds for this stock wheel and tire. And let's see how much a 255 on an Aussie Racing wheel weighs. It's 10.75 pounds. So it is still lighter with a bigger tire. Let me get it back on the bike and let's see how it looks. So for the rear wheel nut, we're using our TWM rear wheel nut. Not only this is aluminum and lighter than the stock factory one, it's one piece. So we get this question. This is two pieces, this is one piece. Isn't two piece better than one piece? Actually, it's not. It's two piece because of costs. This is machined down from one solid block of aluminum. It is stronger than having that two piece there. I mean, if you follow the torque specs, you're not going to break this, nor you're going to break that. But I just wanted to mention it. We're going with the black color. It's also available in red. And we're going to dress it up with this Ducati bike spring clip for this black wheel nut. I'm not using a lot of colors on this bike because if you guys don't know, it's going to get a special livery and a paint job and full carbon fiber bodywork, but that's going to come later on. Let me get this on. I want to see how it looks because it fits like a glove with that 200 rear tire. The wheel day at Motomillion is almost over. I say almost because I still got to finish this one up, but this beauty right here, the Panigale V2 with its World Superbike Special Edition OZ Racing wheels, and these are the Piegas. If you guys have been following along, we did save overall just from the wheels. The wheels by themselves were 3.18 pounds lighter. The rear wheel difference with the tires we just showed you on the scale right over there. So the rear with the 200 tire is still lighter than the stock setup. And what I'm going to do is that after we're done with this video, I'm going to go through the settings just to see that if I could see the tire calibration settings to see what's on there. But until then, I'm going to look at this bike and I'm going to enjoy it because I think the gray and black plays off really well because the engine casing's gray, the rear sets are gray, and it's just looking beautiful. And we're probably going to be going with Stylema gray calipers in the front and maybe leave the rear calipers alone since they're gray as well. But don't forget, this bike's going to get a special livery, as I said, so it's going to totally change the look of the bike, but at least the wheels will stay. But also the Öhlins forks and shock that I mentioned will also change the look of the bike because we're going to add a little bit of gold onto this. But until then, it's looking sharp, it's looking great. I just couldn't wait, guys, because I just want to put the slip-on on and I just want to put the wheels on. Those are, I think, the biggest changes on the bike. Visually, the wheels made it, and audio-wise, the slip-on does add a lot to this bike. I'm probably going to take it out for a ride soon. Maybe I'll take you along for the ride. We'll see. If I find a nice place to go in Miami and a beautiful day to go out for a ride, I'll definitely take you guys out for the ride. And I just want to mention at this part of the video, guys, all the products that we use on our videos, there's always linked in the description below. In this case, these wheels won't be linked, but the general section for the wheels for the Panigale V2 will be linked because unfortunately these wheels are not available. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, these are very rare. These are numbered wheels and they're about 3-4 years old. If you could get your hands on one, try to get it, but it's probably going to be used. We did get hooked up through Barry at SX Motorparts, which is the OZ Racing distributor for the United States, that he hooked us up with these wheels. Thank you, Barry. But until then, enjoy this bike outside because I'm going to put it outside and they're going to put some very pretty shots of this bike because it's looking amazing, guys. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Until next time, guys, have a good one.